fellow humans. Welcome back to whatever this is. Today, we're doing comfort food because we need some comfort in these times. I don't know if you're on this side of the planet, but it is cold, my friends. Very, very cold. And so, let's make a soup today. But first, have you ever wondered why we even bother cooking our food? Why don't we just smash these ingredients into our faces the way animals do? Why does it taste so much better when we add a little bit of heat?
We don't know exactly when cooking originated, but what is generally agreed on is that cooking was invented before modern-day humans ever existed. At least one anthropologist thinks cooking actually started at least 1.8 million years ago. If that's true, it could explain the very catalyst of our evolution. You see, when we cook food, it becomes easier to chew and digest. This means we would have been able to get away with a weaker jaw, giving our heads more room for, well,
that big, juicy chess club brain of yours.
Cooked food is also easier to extract calories from, giving our ancestors an evolutionary edge. But why is the food easier to chew and easier to digest and so much more yummy?
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
When we cook food, there's several different processes that can happen. Some of these are relatively reversible and generally are more about changing the
mouthfeel
of certain foods. The ones we're more concerned with are the irreversible ones. Today, we'll be able to witness these 5. Often, processes will happen at the same time, so picking out exactly which one is happening at any given moment would be difficult to measure, but we'll do our best to narrow it down to a couple. First, we'll start by cooking off our bacon. I'm adding some water because I want to stop the Maillard reaction from starting until I've rendered off some of that fat. The Maillard reaction is the true enigma of our group. There are just so many processes that are included under the umbrella of Maillard that even a brief explanation would be its own video. Let me know if you want to see that. But suffice it to say, as the moisture cooks off, the proteins in the meat will want to brown. But first, I want denaturation to get going. It takes a few minutes, but it really is worth it.
Because the thing is, we don't want the bacon to start browning before any of that fat gets rendered off. Because if we do that, then what's going to happen is the bacon won't be as crisp as we want it to be in the end, because it's going to have all that fat that gets burned. What we have going on here, we've got some denaturation, we've got some, so far it's just denaturation, but eventually we'll get into a bit of a Maillard reaction and caramelization as well.
Denaturation is when proteins unfold, making the protein more friable. Friable just means able to be broken down. That's why if we keep cooking this bacon too long, it will shatter like glass.
It's a bit of a waiting game here, so we'll just let that do its thing for now. Denaturation. Yeah, see, we're still not at the point of browning, but some of that fat is getting rendered off. You can see from the texture of it there. The fat is starting to come off a bit. You can see in the liquid there as well. You can see the fat in the liquid. Getting like a bacon facial. Bacon facial. This part is definitely kind of a waiting game, but it's really important to render off the fat because nobody wants to take a bite of soup and have a big old chunk of fat in it. That'd be gross. Really gross. Oh.
A few moments later.
Like, look at that piece there. That's so fatty. You wouldn't want to bite down on that. Not the way it is. Ugh. Things are starting to happen now, though. Fat is rendering off. We're seeing it there. And now that a little bit of the fat has rendered off, it's okay if the water cooks off because there will be something for the meat to be cooking in. It won't just be in a hot, dry pan. See now the liquid, you can see now the liquid has totally boiled off. And now we are just cooking in the fat. We can see little bits of Maillard going on there now. Just little bits here and there. A little bit of browning, little bit of caramelization. Okay, we've switched utensils now. I'm keeping it moving around because there is more bacon in here than there is fat. And so because I want all of it to spend some time in that hot fat, I'm moving it all around. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and get a container to put that in. And this is going to be our step 1. All right, those little baby bits out of there. Now, this is way too much oil right now, so we're going to dump some of that off.
Next, we'll get our onions going. And if I wanted to add an extra layer of flavor, I could caramelize these onions more. But I'm running out of sunlight. I'm making this all in one pot in case that's all you have at home. But if you have more space and less time, you could cook all these components at the same time and have dinner on the table in half an hour.
We want the onions to pick up all that great bacon flavor. Now, you don't need to, like if you hate onions, you can skip this step, but you're going to want to probably try to find some other way of deglazing that bacony goodness. Maybe you can use a little splash of white wine. You could do some leeks, although if you don't like onions, I don't know why you like your leeks, but maybe you just don't have onions on hand right now. But yeah, you could do a couple of different options. If you're really stuck, you could even just use a little splash of water, and that will help deglaze things as well. I'm going to go ahead and scrape up this goodness just to get it coated around on those onions. We're just going to let those hang out for a minute and pick up a little bit of flavor. Okay, yes, I'm feeling really good about the state of these onions. Let's go ahead and pull these out. Yes, I know, Burner, I know. Burner is very upset about what we've done. So here I got some chicken stock. We'll just Use that to do a little bit more deglazing here. We're going to throw our potatoes in there. You want just enough liquid to, just barely cover them.
While the potatoes are boiling, this would be a great time to roast any vegetables you have kicking around to add them in later. We're in a small subarctic town in a pandemic, so we're skipping the veg today.
And then we are going to put the lid on here, and we're just going to let it boil for about 20 to 30 minutes. So that's why I say if you have 2 pans, you can make this whole entire soup in about 30 minutes because the potatoes are basically going to be the whole process.
The amount of moisture and heat present are going to affect different compounds differently. Many of the deliciifying properties happen at lower humidities. That's why boiled food can be mushy and overcooked without ever really changing flavor or getting burned.
Okay. We got about a half a cup of butter. A little more than that.
Caramelization you're probably familiar with, but did you know that dextrinization is its starchy cousin? Because starches are made up of multiple sugar molecules bonded together, they need to break down into dextrins to facilitate browning. The amount you cook a roux is a big deal in French cooking, but I personally prefer that toasty Flava Flav, regardless of the application. In cooking, it really is important to adapt things to your personal taste. Starch gelatinization sounds like some gastronomic mumbo-jumbo, but in our case, it just means that when we apply heat, the starch molecules are able to bond with water molecules. Unlike making Jell-O, this isn't a reversible change, but given that the end result is cream sauces and gravies, why would you ever want to?
Oh no, that was right. Second, I thought I did not. Okay, we're gonna let that warm up to temperature. Oh, I need some chili sauce. I know they exist. Oh, there they are. I was lucky.
Now it's just a simple matter of assembling our soup.
Okay, we are done with that. Now we can go ahead and add in half of our cheese. Let's do half the cheese for now. Okay, let's do our onions. Then let's go ahead and do our potatoes. Let's do our bacon. cool. I need a couple of secret ingredients. Oh, don't the garlic gods. Okay, I like to put in the garlic at the end because I don't like it to get too cooked. Find the flavor. It's just tends to be a little bit bitter, which makes sense based on what we've learned today. But a bit more of our cheese. Let's add the rest of our cheese.
I do wish I had some roasted red peppers or a handful of frozen peas to add some color, but we'll jazz it up with some croutons and a sprinkle of yet more cheese. There's no such thing as too much cheese. On a chemical level, when heat is applied to certain organic compounds, they undergo a change. Each of these processes are slightly different, and some are still not very well understood. It seems to me you can either memorize numerous tables of data, or you can experiment a bit and figure out what works for you. And then you get soup. Enjoy. Hey fellow humans, you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I'd like to make more of these longer videos, so if you want to see more content like this, it really helps the almighty algorithm if you like and subscribe. And even leave a comment below. Until next time, make something that makes you happy.